joining us on the Newbridge Radio Show. You can also catch us online at newbridgeradio.com. Find us on Facebook under Newbridge Radio Show or follow us on Twitter at Newbridge Radio. Now let's connect you with what's next.
Welcome back to the Newbridge Radio Show on WLTK-DB. Let's talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we're here to remind you that you are important to this world, and we sure are glad to have you along on this episode of the Newbridge Radio Show. Don't forget, you can catch the show live on our station website. All you need to do is just head on over to www.WLTK-DB.com and you can watch the show from there. You can also catch us live on Facebook Live, as well as YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All you need to do is type in WLTK-DB into the search on any of those platforms, and you will be able to watch our show. And you'll be able to join the chat and ask questions of myself or our guest. And welcome to 2022 for most of you. It is my first show of this year so far. And I have a bit of an announcement to make regarding the Newbridge Radio Show. I want to let you know that I have been selected for a community mentorship program. And I didn't think my chances were very good to get into the mentorship program. I thought, well, I'm going to try. I'll submit an application and share my interests. And lo and behold, I was actually chosen to be one of the participants in the community mentorship program. And I am beyond thrilled. I've already had one little tiny meeting with all of the other mentors and possible mentors, and I was so inspired by it. I'm looking forward to this mentorship program, but because of the time restraints that this is going to cause, the Newbridge Radio Show is going to be on a bit of a hiatus while this mentorship program unfolds. But don't worry, we'll still be back. We will be coming back, and we will still be a show. We will come back in the fall. So our show, our next show with Cordell Jacks, the Dream Coach, is going to be the last of the Newbridge Radio Show for a bit. But remember, you can always go to the Newbridge Radio Show archives on WLTK-DB. You can also go to the Newbridge website, www.newbridgeradio.com, and you can find our archives there. And it might be interesting for you to go to the very beginning and see how the Newbridge Radio Show started and see how we've evolved. Even when I go back and listen to those archives, I'm still somewhat shocked at how far we've come. Because when we started, we were just a small little podcast, and there were two of us, and it's amazing how we progressed and everything became what it is now. So I just want to thank all of you for joining us on this journey. Tonight, our guest is Jake Crossman. He is the CEO of USA Medical. And he hasn't shown up yet. So we're kind of winging it, hoping that he does show up. He really has been invited on the show because he is an expert in CBD oil and CBD products. And USA Medical is one of the companies that makes CBD products that help with alternative health. And hopefully we'll have Jack here in a bit, and we can ask him questions about CBD. You can ask him all of your burning CBD questions, and we'll definitely find out from him what the biggest difference is between CBD and other cannabinoids. Anyway, we will hopefully hear from him in a bit. And he will join us here on the Newbridge Radio Show. In the meantime, we're just going to wing it. And all of you who have been following the show for some time know that I sometimes have a bit of social anxiety. And so being on a live show can be a bit nerve wracking for me, but we are going to do our best here tonight while we wait for Mr. Jake. Let me just make sure. I hate to be doing admin stuff while we're sitting here waiting, but let me just make sure. Um, I am notorious for, as Todd, my producer, will testify to, I am notorious for misspelling people's names. And I do so quite a bit. And Todd does all of my graphics. And so sometimes he I have to send things back because I misspelled things. And so I'm just going to make sure that I sent the right time to Jake. And yes, I did. Because I hate making mistakes like that, where you think you sent the right time, but you did not. You're like, oh my God, how can I do that? When we come back from from our hiatus, we're gonna have to do a show on mistakes and how best to deal with them. When I was younger and used to work at Hewlett Packard, we had a supervisor that used to catch mistakes, and we would always tell him when we got caught in a mistake, we would always tell him, well, it's kind of bad what we did, but at least we didn't lose the Mars observer. And if you've never heard of the Mars observer, definitely Google it. It was like a $10 billion project, and they shot it off into space, and they were watching it and watching it and watching it, and all of a sudden they're like, it looks like it's not going in the right direction. And as it turns out, it was going further and further and further out of the orbit that it was supposed to be in, and it just sort of went in a direction they weren't expecting, and they were just off by a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, and missed the Mars, completely missed Mars orbit. Well, anyway, we will sit here for just a bit more and wait for Jake Crossman to come in. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and take a brief break. We'll be right back on the New Bridge Radio Show after these messages.
Looking to launch your new masterpiece? Then try something new with Moonbow Publishing and Production. At Moonbow, we have a strong desire to serve authors in a powerful and meaningful way. After all, you poured your heart and soul into your writing, and we fully understand and respect that. Remember this: you will own the copyright to your work. You will have the final say on your work before being published. Even after all of that, we've saved the best for last. We won't take a percentage sold. Nope, not a penny. Excited about MoonbowPublications.com yet? We thought so. Take advantage of our company's services like book editing, formatting, and covers, publishing, and photography. Moonbow Publishing and Productions has everything you are looking for in a company. Remember, we will not keep any commissions. We are a boutique publishing company focusing on spiritual, health and wellness, and personal growth genres. Moonbow Publications and Productions, a new kind of publishing company.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTK-DB. Let's talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we would have been speaking to our guest, Jake Crossman, who is the CEO of USA Medical, a company that does CBD products for alternative health. They are one of the premier CBD suppliers in the country, and they have great testimonies. You can find them on usamedicalshop.com. You can find their products. They not only do CBD oil, they do CBD gels, they do multivitamins, they do other products that are that help boost your immune system and that do great things for your body. We still have we have a no show on Jake Crossman, but hopefully he'll be able. He might be caught up in traffic. He is here on the West Coast Pacific time, so he may be just stuck in traffic and not able to get to us. But we have hopes that he will be here soon. So in the meantime, let me talk to you just a bit about 2022 and kind of the expectations of what we expect to see in this coming year. I'm not sure if you're one of those people who sets resolutions for yourself. I've never been a person who has been good at keeping up with resolutions. I usually fail within the first couple of weeks, but this year I've made a commitment to keep my resolutions. And one of the biggest resolutions I have is being my own boss. That is something that, once you have a little tiny taste of being your own boss, you really don't want anything else. I had that opportunity and found that I'm really the best boss I've ever worked for. And so this year, 2022, is the year that I try to put things in place to make myself my own boss. Because once once you go through your life and you get to a certain age, like the age I am now, you get a little frustrated working for other people because it's kind of a drag. So this year, actually, let me back up a bit. You may remember some time ago, we had the wonderful psychic medium, Jamie Butler, on our show. And for those of you that know who Jamie Butler is, she is probably one of the best psychic mediums on the planet. And it is amazing to watch her uh, use her talents and gifts, her psychic talents and gifts, in not only in watching her do readings, but watching her do classes or give information that is beneficial. Like she has a YouTube channel and she does channeled information every month to help you kind of navigate your way through the month and be ready for any kind of storm that might be cropping up in the morning or in the month. And it's great. It's fantastic. And so every year she does a mentorship. She does a Jamie Butler mentorship. And it I, when she mentioned it months and months ago, I thought about it. I'm like, well, maybe I should try it because I definitely want to relaunch my own practice, my own Reiki practice. And I've also I'm also a trained hypnotist. And so I was like, it would be great if I could be back up and running and taking clients again. And wouldn't it be great if I could kind of do it differently this time to where I had a little bit of support? And so when Jamie Butler mentioned the mentorship, I just kind of put it in the back of my mind and I thought, that sounds like something would definitely be interested in. And the universe kind of played with it with me for a while because I would tune into Jamie Butler's website and she would be talking about the membership. And it was interesting because it is an expensive program. And I was like, well, okay, well, the cost could probably be, prohibitive to me. But interestingly enough, it just so happened that I was able to get enough resources to be able to pay for the intuition. It all just seemed to work out perfectly. I was like, oh wow, I am really, really thankful to the universe for this. And it came at the perfect moment, right when I was considering doing relaunching my own practice, which I am going to do this year under the name of Lime Street Wellness. And I have a great logo that has been created by an extremely talented graphic artist person, and so I am getting started on that. So by the time New Bridge Radio Show comes off of hiatus, I will be probably working in Lime Street Wellness and helping people either connect to what's next in their life through hypnosis, through channeled messages, through intuitive readings, and intuitive coaching, Reiki, as well as hypnosis. And uh, Lime Street Wellness is also going to do forestry walks. There's something about people de-stressing in forest walks that is amazing to watch. And my co-host Shannon used to take, and still does, takes clients into the forest, and they do these enchanted forest walks. And it's interesting to watch all these people come into this right before the walk. They might be kind of stressed out and kind of not really communicating very well and kind of a bit shy, but it's interesting to watch people go through the forest and start connecting. There is something in us that just once it starts connecting to nature and to the forest, it just seems to open up everything. And I found it, I definitely found it in my own experience helping me after I'd been, working at a job that I hated for years and years and years. And if you are in the same boat, like a lot of people have quit their jobs and are just now wondering what they're going to do. And, until you figure it out, definitely spend time outdoors, spend time walking through the forest. You would be surprised how much information comes to you because you're connected to this. You are connected. You can receive messages from nature that will tell you what to do, that will guide you in your path. And definitely take advantage of it. Um, I am going to incorporate that into Lime Street Wellness. And basically, what we're going to do is have a program where people come and we go through and experience nature therapy and go on different walks that are designed to connect people to nature, because sometimes that's really all people need in order to get better, in order to get well. And it's it's not just their mental state that's affected by nature. It's because there are certain aerosols that trees and forests put out. Um, they Trees and forests put out um, aerosols that are healing to the body. There's an aerosol called alpha pinene and beta pinene that are released by pine trees. And that aerosol actually can go into your lungs and into your bloodstream and and create healing effects. And it's something that I know can not only affect your physical being, but also your mental well-being. And every weekend, I myself, do walks in the forest, and I might be having a little bit of a pain in my knee or a pain, in my lower back. And once I start walking through, and it's almost a certain part of the forest. Once I start walking through that part of the forest, all of that stuff seems to disappear and go away. And it's an amazing thing. Well, I'm not sure if we need to take another break. It's 20 after. We still haven't heard from Jake Crossman yet. He hasn't shown up. Hopefully he will. I'll leave it up to Todd. So, Todd, do you want to take another our regular 20-minute break? Oh, okay, we're good on breaks. We don't need to go. Okay, fine. I'll just keep talking. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the mentorship program that's coming up. Um, one of the things that is unique about it is the this particular program allows us to interact on a psychic level with channeled messages. And so it creates a support group not only of physical people who work in the industry, but also spiritual beings that are on the other side that can see and predict long range plans for all of the participants. So, in this particular mentorship program, we will have physical coaches that coach us on what to do business wise as far as advertising. And we will also be in touch with a spiritual group as well that are channel beings that will be. Giving us advice and telling us how to progress and proceed in our business plans, which is all exciting. And for for some people, for some of my family members that are a bit skeptical, they've been like, well, I hope this is worth it. Yep, because I'm kind of I've kind of always been uh, a jack of all trades, and so but hopefully this is uh the stepping stone that I need to be successful and be on my own. So anyway, there's that. So it is now coming at 22 minutes after. We still have not heard from Jake Crossman, but hopefully we will. I do want to mention their website again. It is usamedicalshop.com. And they do have a blog on USA Medical. And they do have pretty good articles on in the blog that that are useful and beneficial. And even though we don't have Jake here to explain CBD and cannabinoids to us, there are great articles on the usamedicalshop.com. And here's one of them. And you've probably been asking this yourself and wondering, does Amazon sell CBD? And as of 2021, it is believed that an estimated 80% of American adults between the ages of 18 and 34 are Amazon users. Having a single marketplace for customers to find just about anything is very enticing. However, Amazon, like any corporation, has rules that must be followed, as nothing influences corporate decision making quite like the threat of being fined or sued. So, can Amazon Prime members buy CBD? Technically, the answer to does Amazon sell CBD is no. According to Amazon, no CBD can be sold on their platform, but that's not entirely true. Hmm, that's interesting. So you can find more on that particular article and go through it and find out about buying CBD oil because CBD oil does have health benefits. One of the other articles on here that I feel is important about CBD is how to take CBD properly. And the question of how to take CBD properly is important to answer before you begin your journey using CBD. And a lot of people have probably uh, had offhand conversations about CBD. Some have had testimonials of how CBD has helped them. Uh, as a matter of fact, my producer Todd Bates was just talking about how CBD helped him and helped him overcome sciatica. Hey, did you want to talk a bit, Todd, about how you discovered CBD, how it helped you? Yes? No? You were mentioning how you had you know what I found you came right before we were going to go live. You were talking about sciatica, which is a really severe issue. It can be quite painful, and CBD seemed to help you in overcoming that really excruciating pain, because sciatica is like terribly painful, and CBD helped you. And what was interesting What's interesting about your story is how you kind of discovered it just offhandedly. And I think that's a story a lot of people have, definitely, come across. And what's interesting is uh, a lot of people are distrustful of CBD because it comes from cannabis. It comes from there are tons of cannabinoid plants, cannabinoids out there that do help in regeneration that are not necessarily THC. So, one of the articles on the website that uh, USA Medical has is can you get high off of CBD oil? Uh, and I thought that was a great question because a lot of people probably want to ask that, like, does it get you high? And the answer is no, because there are cannabinoids, and we'll be using that term a lot, that don't have THC, that don't cause you to get high, but that do have all of the other benefits of alternative health. So let me find that article here because it was actually really good. It does, it doesn't look like it's coming to me easily. Oh, this is a good question to ask. And it's one that made me laugh out loud on the USA Medical website. One of the blog questions is, will CBD show up on a drug test? And let's just read it here. It's a common question to ask if CBD will show up on a drug test. As CBD has grown in popularity and entered into the mainstream market, it's important that everyone understand that CBD is very different than THC and will not show up on a drug test. Hmm. So, just in case you are paranoid about using CBD oil, just like you might be paranoid about eating a poppy seed muffin right before a drug test, you don't have to worry about CBD because it doesn't have THC in it. So, there you go. Another question answered on the blog of USA Medical. Um, Most of the or one of the products on the USA Medical site is CBD soft gels. And maybe Todd will come on here for just a moment and talk about gummies. Now, right before the show, Todd was talking about how he was given gummies, which kind of seems like an odd delivery for CBD products. But tell us a little bit about the gummies, Todd.
Hey, Kevin. I swear by this stuff.
Mhm,
Um, the gummies, they look just like sugar-coated gummy bears,
mhm,
and they do taste funny. Okay, they're not
mhm.
like don't think you're gonna be eating candy because it does have a medicinal taste to it,
Mhm,
but they have them in different milligrams. These in particular were big. They were 3,000 milligram. Now, it
mhm,
sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. They go higher. But they're fast absorbing, and for me, see, I have Crohn's, so it's hard for me to, take a lot of pills. It's easier for me to get a shot or something like that.
right.
But these gummies are so fast dissolving, and I had been suffering with that sciatica for months and months and months. I walked with a limp for 6 months
Mhm,
and took all kinds of, uh, medicines at the hospital. They couldn't kill the pain. They said it's just gonna have to wear off and body's gonna have to drain fluid or something. I'm like, "What? This is crazy." I'm in pain. I'm walking with a limp. I'm hobbling everywhere I go.
mhm,
And at work, of all places, this coworker brings out those gummies, um, which are totally legal.
right.
Um, and she said, "Try these." And she handed me like 5 of them. So the next morning, I kid you not, gone.
Mhm.
Gone. I was walking straight, normal. It was like a miracle happened. And
Mhm,
I continued taking them to kind of build that nerve up that was pinched, and it just miraculously went away. Yeah, after
mhm.
all these different things I tried, Kevin, that worked.
You know what I like about that is, cannabinoids have been around for centuries, and, it's only, like, within the 90s, believe it or not, Todd, that they have actually discovered uh, 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 that we have a system in our body that actually processes and uses cannabinoids in a good way. It's the endocannabinoid system.
Really?
Yes, and it was discovered in, like I said, it was just like like there are 120 cannabinoids. Did you even know this? Like,
I
I
had
didn't
no
even
idea.
I didn't
I
either.
know there's different strains and this and that of CBD and hemp,
Mhm.
THC too, but, um, no, I didn't know that.
Right, 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 right. So, it was just in the late, 90s, like I said, that they started, um, discovering that the cannabinoids do different things, and there are 120 of them that interact with the body in different ways. But what's interesting about the cannabinoids, what they do, they which I find interesting is they don't necessarily work like NSAIDs, like NSAID pain relievers, like ibuprofen,
Okay.
which kind of block the the pain sensors and tell them, hey, hey, calm down, relax. Um, what they're finding about cannabinoids is they actually instruct the pain systems in the body to where they let the brain know where the pain is coming from and what is causing it. So they don't dull the pain, they just kind of act as an instructor to instruct the brain how to deal with the pain. Isn't that interesting?
And very interesting, like little cannabinoid nanobots.
Exactly. But
That is neat.
yes, but it was before the 90s, it was kind of considered, a taboo subject. It
Mhm.
was considered very taboo because of and I'm sure everybody out there probably has family that are very anti marijuana.
Yeah. Yeah, it causes a lot of confusion. It really
And
does.
anti-drugs, they're, we have friends or family that are like, "Oh, no, no, no. I will go to hell if I take CBD."
It's what's sad is it's safer than an aspirin.
Exactly, exactly. And but um, like 90% of the other medicines that we have become used to and that we've become accustomed to are made from plants and and in some cases secretly from cannabinoids. So it's good
That's
that
ropes.
it's good that the stigma has come off, and we're starting to learn new things about cannabinoids. You know what else is exciting about it is the cannabinoids seem to also work with stem cells, and stem cells, as you know, can create any kind of cell.
Sure.
Like they can morph into any kind of cell. So eventually, we could have gene splicing and all these other kinds of technologies, come into the medical world because of what we're learning about cannabinoids. Isn't that
I can
interesting?
see that. And when it becomes more socially acceptable, that'll help as
Mhm,
well. It'll just broaden the research even more.
exactly. And what I liked about Jake Crossman's explanation of all of the different cannabinoids is he actually breaks down from a physiological point of view of how each of these cannabinoids affect immune system and mental health. So, I was asking you before the show. Now, in Washington State, we have a lot of cannabis. Washington State was the second state that to legalize recreational marijuana. We did it along with Colorado, because so we were like the first test states to do so.
Right.
And it's interesting how that has progressed in especially in Washington State. So when we first did it, when we first voted it in, and you know what, this is also weird about Washington State, Todd, and I'm not sure if Illinois is the same way. And this is a little sidetrack, but in Colorado, I'm originally from Colorado. And in Colorado, you could not buy alcohol on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if it's still the case, but when I first moved here to Washington, you could kind of tell it was a more open-minded state right away. Because when we first moved here and I walked into 7-Eleven, I mean, it was they had a whole booze aisle. And you did not have that at 7-Eleven in Colorado. You could only buy something called 3-2 beer. Have you ever heard of this?
3-2 beer.
3-2 beer.
No.
Which all it is, Todd, is it's just beer and spirits that are watered down to where the alcohol content is just 3.2%. Because believe it or not, Colorado, the drinking age used to be 18. And my class, my high school class, was the last class in Colorado that could drink at 18. And we drank 3-2 beer. But anyway,
Oh, wow.
you walked into a 7-Eleven here and it was just full of booze. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you could buy wine, you could buy vodka, you could buy a lot of things just at 7-Eleven. I'm like, oh my God. So I kind of thought at that, when I first got here, that marijuana would, if anyone was going to legalize marijuana first, it would be Washington. And what else was just a shocker, talking about alcohol, is how they have Denny's restaurants
Uh-huh.
all over the country, and most people have probably been in Denny's.
Oh, sure.
Well, here in Washington, the Denny's, you walked into Denny's, and to the right was the normal kind of Denny's that everybody in the country goes to. And they go in and they have their grand slam breakfast. But to the left in the Denny's here is a full bar.
What?
Like Denny's here had a full bar. Like you could go in, there's a bar, you could have your grand slam sitting at the bar. You could order any kind of alcohol you wanted.
Wow. When did
And
that happen?
I know they had regular cocktail waitresses in Denny's, and they served you alcohol. And so you could, how people always go to Denny's after drinking.
Sure.
Well, you could just go to the Denny's bar and continue drinking, and then have your and then have your breakfast on the
The
restaurant
last
side.
watering hole.
Exactly. But what happened, what kind of happened to kind of change all that is Washington changed the smoking laws, and the Denny's bar was very unpopular.
Yeah. I can
But anyway, the marijuana. So when Washington became one of the first states to legalize recreational marijuana, um, literally 100,000 people a month were moving here to Washington because of that one change.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because you had this wide, diverse group of people coming into the state, and it sort of, the vacancy rate here in Washington became like 2%.
Everybody's staying. Everybody.
Like nothing. Like, to get an apartment, you might find yourself having to camp for weeks just for an apartment. And then it was crazy. Like when I rented this house, when we came to look at it, there was a good 50 people here looking at the same time. 50 people looking at just this one rental because the demand was there.
Sure.
It's crazy. It's a crazy time. And now, Illinois, Illinois has legalized marijuana as well, right?
It's came to the Midwest. Yeah. It's a political move, I think, for the state
Hmm.
because the state's flat broke. I mean, they're talking about separating Chicago as its own state. That's how broke it is.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think they're hoping that this helps boom, uh, gets the purses filled again. And so
What?
far, so good. I think everybody's taking a good liking to it. For the most part, the Bible Belt through here, not so much. You won't
Mhm.
find any CBD or THC dispensaries or anything like that near there.
Mhm.
Those-
Right.
but I think it's just going to take some time, and society will welcome it, understand it. Right now, it's a little scary for some people.
Exactly. I understand completely. And it is, and uh, so I went into a number of marijuana shops, um, uh, in the beginning because I adopted a senior dog that had very severe arthritis.
Yeah.
And a lot of people probably don't know this, but one thing that helped this dog, Sadie, walk normally was CBD oil.
Hmm.
And there's a CBD blend that you can get at the marijuana shops here that has a tiny bit of THC, but also more CBD. And they you can buy it in two forms. You can buy it in a tincture, and you can buy it in a dog treat.
Oh,
And so I went to a lot of marijuana stores just to get the stuff for my dog Sadie. But it was interesting being, being,
going
being
around town and going into all these head
yeah,
shops.
it
Yeah.
was really interesting going into the marijuana shops, Todd, because people were sampling they were sampling the marijuana. And, and you would walk in and it smelled just like your high school locker room.
On game night. Yeah.
Where you were like, oh, is somebody toking in here?
Yeah. It's a deterrent for some.
Yeah, it is. And it was everyone that was in high school and participated in marijuana. Boy, we were sure fooling ourselves, weren't we? Like, you can smell marijuana through concrete walls, just about.
There's
And
no hiding it. There
yeah,
really
there really is not. And we thought we had our parents fooled, and like, oh, what were you doing? Oh, nothing.
isn't. No.
and we, and the whole time we were leaving a 50-foot trail behind us of marijuana smell.
Oh, yes. Don't forget the excessive happiness.
Oh, exactly. And the constant eating, which is something that someone asked about CBD oil. It does not cause, the munchies or any of the other or the paranoia
No.
that marijuana causes, because a lot of people who partake of marijuana can be very paranoid. And when, I have a younger sister who sort of made up for my older sister and I. My older sister and I were pretty good kids. And so the universe decided to kind of let my parents know that they were extremely lucky. And so they had my little sister who was a partaker in marijuana when she was young. And when she was a young adult, she had uh, she she lived with my older sister and I for a little while, and she had smoked some marijuana in an apartment that we were all living in, and she kind of had a panic attack from this marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a one of those stories. So she called 911 because she thought, oh my gosh, this is really bad. And she's talking to the 911 dispatcher and telling, this is what happened. I bought some marijuana. It might have been laced with something because I don't feel normal. And they're like, and the 911 dispatcher is like, well, don't panic because we are sending someone. And Deborah's on the phone with 911, and she starts hearing all of these sirens. She's like, "Oh, I'm hearing sirens. Are you just sending the police?" No. And so as she's sitting there talking, there's more and more sirens, and they're getting closer and closer and closer. So it wasn't just the police that they sent. They sent the police and the firemen.
Oh my goodness.
So so the police, so there was like 10 firemen and like 4 policemen that all came to the scene for my sister's paranoia attack. And my my older sister had to work the next day, so she had been asleep for a long time. And she hears all the commotion going on, right? So she walks out of her bedroom and there's all these there's 10 firemen and 4 policemen standing there looking and trying to help Deborah. and and the next day, Deborah got everything all settled, and my older sister comes home and she's like, Deborah, if you ever do that again, where you call the firemen or the policemen in the middle of the night, please come and let me know so that I can at least brush my hair or look somewhat presentable.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah,
That's terrible, and it can cause, if someone's not used to or hasn't felt that before, they can feel a little panic because they don't know what it is.
exactly. Anxiety attacks are that way. If you've never had one, it's like, what?
The irony
And
is, Kevin, is they use that to treat panic attacks, yet it causes them.
I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But I think she had my younger sister's always had anxiety issues, and maybe that's why it is on some people that already have anxiety issues. Maybe it just perpetuates them or increases it because she's always been that way.
Right.
She's been an anxiety person and a sleepwalker.
Sleepwalkers.
She's a sleepwalker.
Ooh, a bad one now is, does she, like, get up in the middle of the night and do things,
Mhm.
perform tasks and things?
Yes.
Oh,
Now, when she was a teenager, she was a serious sleepwalker, and at one point, and she's done some really really strange things. But the strangest thing she ever did is, she was sleepwalking, and she walked into she walked into my mom's bedroom, and she started screaming, "Get out! Get out! They've put a bomb in the house!" Just screaming at, "There's a bomb in the house!"
oh no.
And my mom, "There's a bomb in the house."
Oh, everybody evacuates.
Yeah, yes, and then she was totally sleepwalking, just walked right back into her room, and went back to sleep, and that was the end of it. And my mom figured out that she had been sleepwalking, but she's always been that way. She used to live in a loft apartment, so the bedroom was a loft, and she was working during the holiday at Best Buy, which is like the biggest stress time at Best Buy you could ever.
Oh, yeah.
And she was sleepwalking there at night, and she looked down at down from the left, and she could see her husband down there. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, just watching TV. And she's like, "I need you to come up here right now and ring these people up." So like she has tons of sleepwalking stories.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
That is crazy. I mean, it's and you're not supposed to wake him up either.
No, no, and I have never done it. I mean, I've seen, we've seen her do some pretty interesting things while sleepwalking, and usually people who are sleepwalkers are really good for hypnosis. They can really be hypnotized, and they can go completely into the past lives if you're doing past life regression on
Very
them.
good.
And so I've always wanted to get her, have the opportunity to hypnotize her, but it's never presented itself to her.
Give it time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure as I get further in it, she might be a little bolder, and might actually come in. Now that I have my fancy hypnosis chair, maybe she will.
It's a hypnosis.
I got a fancy hypnosis chair that does massage and everything.
Ooh.
So maybe I can get her. And it took me a long time to figure out how to get people under, but now I can do it really, really well.
If you ever need to practice on anyone, practice on me, Kevin.
Sure, sure. I can do hypnosis
Because
remotely as well.
I don't know, there was a hypnotist in town, and he made me dance around and do all kinds of weird stuff that I didn't remember doing, but
Mhm.
I think I'm pretty perceptive to it.
Well, there is a lot that can happen in a hypnosis session because you're actually talking to your subconscious, which is the larger part of your being. It's where all of the memories are.
Yeah, I need somebody to really shake it up in there, Kevin.
Right. I want you to do a tune-up. Do a going over. Well, when I was doing my internship, I would have people come for QHHT that expected me to fix everything that was wrong. I'm like, well, I'll give it my best shot.
Mental mechanic,
Mental mechanic,
what it
absolutely.
is, and it's a good thing too. What you do is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. It is fascinating to watch people overcome problems and, in some cases, miraculously heal themselves because your subconscious mind uh, is connected in a way to the universe that can actually bring instant healing, which I find amazing.
It's absolutely amazing.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, you know what, Todd? I don't think Jake is going to show.
Well, you've got 60 seconds, Kevin.
If you are listening and you are interested in CBD oil or CBD products and want a great place to find them, you can go to Jake Crossman's website. It is USA Medical shop.com, and you can check out their products there. It's too bad we couldn't have Jake live on the show, but that's just the breaks. Hopefully he's gonna send us an email and let us know what happened. Well, Todd, I will turn the reins over to you so you can start your fabulous show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was great talking to you, Kevin.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm glad because it starts the new year right.
Yes, it does. Take care, my friend.
You too, Todd. Have a great show.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Tune in next week on the New Bridge Radio Show when we will welcome Cordell Jacks, the Dream Coach. You won't want to miss this. And until next time, we will see you on the New Bridge Radio Show.